Assalamu alaikum and good morning, everyone. I, Sabila bint Saif Shondhi,
And I, Fatimata Jura.
and it is our pleasure to welcome all distinguished guests, respected speakers, and engaged participants to session 4 of BIGM National Conference 2025 titled Energy, Climate Change, and Urban Planning. This year's theme, Bridging Policy and Interdisciplinary Research Towards a Sustainable Future, finds strong relevance in the focus of our session. In a world increasingly shaped by urban expansion, internal migration, and intensifying climate volatility, particularly in a vulnerable deltaic region like ours, the stakes could not be any higher. Our natural resources are finite, our cities are swelling, and the energy that powers our growth demands vigilant stewardship. Addressing these intersecting challenges is no longer optional. It requires coordinated interdisciplinary research and policy that is both visionary and grounded in evidence. We believe this session is a convergence of minds and individuals who not only grasp the gravity of our shared challenges, but are actively engaged in crafting the solutions that will shape a more resilient and equitable future.
To guide us through this session, we are honored to have a distinguished chair and two esteemed panel members whose expertise and leadership span the key domains of planning, policy, and academia. As our session chair, we have Mr. Iqbal Abdullah Harun, Secretary, Planning Division, Ministry of Planning. With a long-standing career in public administration and development planning, Mr. Harun has played an instrumental role in shaping national strategies that align with sustainable and inclusive growth. We are also privileged to welcome two highly respected panel members, Dr. Sultan Ahmed, Associate Director, BIGM, and former Secretary. We are also grateful to have Mr. Mohammad Ashraful Islam, Chief Town Planner, Rajdhani Unnayan Kortipokho. Mr. Islam brings deep insights into urban planning and infrastructural development with a focus on sustainable urban transformation in rapidly growing cities like Dhaka. With such a distinguished panel, we look forward to a thought-provoking discussion that will enrich the session and offer critical policy and practical reflections on the research presented. I now request our session chair and panel members to kindly come forward and take their seats at the stage. Let us welcome them with a warm round of applause.
Session 4, Energy, Climate Change and Urban Planning features the presentation of 6 papers, offering a multidimensional view of sustainability and resilience challenges. These papers collectively reflect a rich spectrum of themes, offering an interdisciplinary perspective on some of the most pressing issues facing Bangladesh and the Global South today. This session encompasses critical inquiries addressing a wide range of topics, including the gendered income impacts of climate change, carbon footprint reduction through novel technologies, the efficiency of effluent treatment in the textile industry, and energy conservation practices in Dhaka's buildings. In addition, they will explore the socioeconomic impacts of climate change in vulnerable coastal regions and delve into the factors shaping sustainable urban living, including the role of governance.
Together, these papers draw from diverse sectors of urban infrastructure, environmental technology, industrial sustainability, social development, and employ a mix of quantitative analysis, case studies, bibliometric review, and technological innovation. This diversity not only broadens our understanding of the multifaceted nature of climate and urban challenges, but also underscores the necessity of integrative solutions that bridge research, policy, and practices.
Now, allow me to briefly walk you through the proceedings of the presentation session. Each presenter will have 10 minutes to share their research findings, followed by 5 minutes of question and answer session. After all the presentations are done, there will be a panel discussion. We kindly request all participants to adhere strictly to the allotted time to ensure a smooth and timely progression of the session. Now, it is my pleasure to hand over the proceedings to our esteemed session chair, Mr. Iqbal Abdullah Harun, Secretary, Planning Division, Ministry of Planning. Sir, the floor is yours.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I recognize my seniors, whom I am indebted for many things, becoming planning secretary even, because I got the initial guidance from them and also had trainings in many development areas and the experiences that we should get from our seniors. So, distinguished audience, today we are going to discuss a very complex kind of issue, but I think that it is very understandable how they are related to each other. Energy, climate change, and urban planning. To some, it might be a little distant how energy is related to urban planning. So I think that the challenge will be this point, not relating to the climate change, because that's very clear that energy has got multidimensional impact on the development, as well as climate change is a burning issue that the world is facing, and the world itself will hinge upon the success of us tackling the climate change. Bangladesh is one of the most vulnerable countries to climate change, and we are facing different types of challenges, and this is also eating up a significant portion of our gross domestic product that we could have saved if we had not the climate change impact on the ground. But again, that has got some benefit as well. We'll hear from the panelists, I think, different dimensions. So initially, this is my remarks, and I saw the profiles of the presenters, and they have got different dimensions of looking at this. So further ado, I think I like to call our presenters. So first presentation is, where is that? So first presentation is, title of the presentation is How Much Income Gap Persists Across Gender Dimension Due to Climate Change, New Evidence from Bangladesh. So this is bringing a very important perspective because half of our population is divided into two gender. And this will be presented by Azreen, Karim. So I like to request the presenter to come on stage and make the presentation. Over to you, please.
Assalamu alaikum and good morning, everybody. Thank you, Honorable Chair, for giving me the floor to present in this prestigious BIGM National Conference 2025. I'm Dr. Azreen Karim, currently working as a Senior Research Fellow at the Bangladesh Institute of Development Studies, BIDS. So the title of my paper today is How Much Income Gap Persists Across Gender Dimensions Due to Climate Change, New Evidence from Bangladesh. So this is basically an outcome of a study funded by the World Bank Group, which is titled A Study on Gender, Climate-Induced Migration and Gender in Bangladesh. So this is the outline which I'm going to follow today for my presentation. talking about the background, the research questions, definitions and conceptualization, talking a bit about on the data and methodology, the empirical results, specifically the gaps, and coming up with some key recommendations and what next. So what is actually the research gap in the existing literature? There's basically a growing cross-country literature which recognizes the differential effects of climate change on gender issues, particularly on women. These include effects on women's economic empowerment and female labor force participation, on voice and agency, and on gender-based violence. There has also been an emerging literature on the impacts of migration due to climate change and the regional implications on gender-oriented norms and issues. These include effects on gender norms and women, effects on poverty, food security, and livelihoods, and on displacement. However, the studies have explored these differential impacts in an isolated manner. That means literatures have explored the impacts of climate change on gender indicators, for example, women's empowerment, voice and agency, gender-based violence separately. There are extremely few context-specific studies which have explored gender gap dimensions among varying degrees of climate-induced migrated households, and quantitative data gap exists in the literature. Therefore, this study fulfills this gap and looks at climate change gender nexus issues with having a focus on climate-induced migration under a single framework, contributing to this research gap in the climate development literature. So basically, what is the question we are asking in this paper, and what are the pillars we are examining? The question is set up in the title: how much income gap actually persists across gender dimensions due to climate change? We examine 3 dimensions of gender parity: economic participation and opportunity, educational attainment, and women's voice and agency. Now the question is why we have selected these 3 pillars. If you look at the Global Gender Gap Report, which came out in 2024, they have got 4 sub-indices. So what we have done is we looked at the global gender gap scenario and saw that Bangladesh actually had a gender, according to the index, Bangladesh's position is 99, and the index is showing a mark of 0.689. In number 1, we have got the country Iceland, where they have a parity, the index number is 0.935. That means near to 1. So what is actually lacking in terms of the gender differences in our country? That was something which puzzled us. And we looked in between, we saw that the majority amount of falling behind happened in economic participation and livelihood sector. So that is the reason why we have thought that why not look at these data and what are the components that matches with the sub-indexes in the Global Gender Gap Report and try to see what is happening in this part of the world among this selected group. So we identify these gender gaps, which is defined by the disparities in indicators between male and female, and we selected 3 categories or pillars. The first one, gender gap in employment and sectoral livelihoods, gender gap in income, and gender gap in educational attainment. In these 3 sectors, and in these 3 categories, we could actually saw the difference between male and female outcomes, and we also took another 4th pillar, which is women's economic empowerment, social decision-making, voice and agency, and gender-based violence. We tried to put this particular pillar separately due to the reason that in that particular category, the respondents were mostly women, and they have also responded on behalf of the husband as well. That's why that particular pillar actually examined the differences between migrated households and non-migrated households, but among the females. So this is basically the objective of the paper which has been set. We try to investigate the impacts of climate change on gender gap across economic development dimensions, that is income, education, employment, livelihood, and so on. And obviously the gaps in empowerment, women's voice and agency, and gender-based violence indicators. Now, what is the scope here? How did we selected these households? I'll not go too much detail, just to let you know that basically what we have done is, because climate change is a broader issue and we have to put a certain reference point timeline, what we have done, we tried to see the people who have migrated from place A to place B in 2020 due to Cyclone Amphan. So that is a major event which triggered that displacement, and whoever actually moved from place A to place B in the coastal belt, we selected those households in terms of the primary survey. So how do we actually define this gender gap? We define gender gap or gender disparities as the percentage differences across selected indicators between men and women. A positive gap indicates the disparities between male and female, and basically it represents the gap is wider or higher, whereas a negative gap denotes that the differences has been narrower or lower. That means inequalities has been lessened, showing progress across the gender parity dimensions. Now, you will see in my presentation later on that we also try to see the degrees of these, the gaps. That means whether we have got the gaps to be wider, moderately wider, or extremely wider, or the other way around as well. So this is basically the data. We collected the data from the coastal belt from 2 divisions and 4 districts, and the total number of households is 403. These are all climate-affected households. I'm going to summarize these results, and basically these particular slides represent whenever you see the number on the top, that means the gaps are wider, positive. If you see the numbers are coming, the bars are coming in the bottom, basically the numbers are denoting negative. So basically this is the slide where we have summarized all these slides. So ladies and gentlemen, this is basically what we have to tell in terms of the story in our paper. Now, what we have done in this particular slide, we try to pick up the results which are significant, and we put it in one table so that it makes sense for people to understand that which are the categories which needs to be intervened and needs appropriate action to be taken in place. And you will see we have highlighted some numbers, and there are some plus signs beside each of these numbers. Whenever you will see 1 plus sign, that means the gaps are wider. If you see 2 plus signs, that means moderately wider. And if you see above that, that means extremely wide, which needs much more attention compared to the other categories. So as I said, we have looked at particular 3 pillars here. In economic participation and opportunity, we basically took responses, and we have options for 16 categories of livelihood. But here we have only put it down, only the ones which needs attention and where the gaps are comparatively higher than the others and the results are significant. Say for example, if you see the estimated earned income in migrated households, you have got a difference of 5,986 compared to the urban areas where the differences are 6,000 and above. And in the rural area, you have also got positive results, but these are non-significant. But in terms of the livelihood, in terms
I think
of the type
I
of
have to
works,
wrap it up because time is over.
Sir, just
it's that.
2 minutes. Can I
Okay.
get 2
Yeah,
minutes?
please.
Okay, please. Thank you. So these are the results for voice and agency. I'll pick the key recommendations just in one or two sentences, because these are the key recommendations which we have put out in our paper. We need to remove the gender-specific barriers, and skill-based training and access to finance and credit is important. For We need to enable the women-focused network-based community groups with prioritization of women leadership. And before I go over the challenges, because you know I have got very limited time, I wanted to shed some light on this slide a bit of. So basically what we needed to tell at the end is we need to think, because we know that these particular programs run in different parts of the world, whether we need programmatic approach or institutional approach. What kind of state offerings we are giving compared to the private sector interventions, and what is the interesting role of the NGOs? Because we have found out that in the coastal belt, the NGOs are playing a very interesting role in terms of skill diversification. So just to put on what are the challenges we have got and a way forward, the gender differences in economic and social empowerment indicators needs more attention. Inclusiveness is still a very important challenge to actually focus on. Women's participation and economic leadership should be enabled across sectors. And this particular study actually re-emphasizes that gender inequality persists.
We've finished our 2 minutes extended time.
Yeah, and also matters to address the challenges of climate change.
In 1 minute, please. Yeah.
Please. This study re-emphasizes that gender inequality persists and also matters to address the challenges of climate change, necessitating the need for incentive-based gender safety net to protect women from poverty traps and ensure climate and gender well-being in the longer term. So thank you very much. Thank you for your kind attention. Thank you, sir, for giving me an additional 2 minutes.
No,
because
you did
if you have
very
any
well.
question, I'm very happy. I'm going to answer later on. Because, you know, there's a short period of time.
I think you can wait for the question and answer, because we like to finish that part here.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this is my email address. Please feel free to contact if you have got more questions and concerns. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for keeping the time and definitely making a very good presentation on a very good subject. You can remain on the remain here. Yeah, so if there is a question, you can answer from here. So I like to request the audience, if you have any question, you can raise hand. Yes, over to you. Hunir.
Thank you for your nice presentation. But I have one observation. That is out of your 4 pillars or dimensions, the second one, educational attainment. So how, I don't find any relationship, how climate change affect this pillar, because the government of Bangladesh has been long pursuing for the female education, empowerment of female. So there is a policies there, and there is a lots of emphasis on the female education, female stipend and other things, arrangement is there. And second one, the gender-based violence. So how do you make the relationship between these 2 dimensions with the climate change? Thank you.
Sure. So shall I answer the question?
Yes,
or more
please.
questions?
Please. I think we can have more questions if you have.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for your fabulous presentation. It was really hectic and it was very clear. At the beginning, you have shown your capacity. And I found that you have done a robust literature review from which you got the research gap and research question. This is I appreciate. And one thing I should say that your research is quantitative, but the focus you have actually the question you have focused, I think some issues should be exploratory. I mean, if there is a qualitative study, I mean in-depth interview from the families, at least 10 to 15 families, then you could get a more real scenario, and you could do a triangulation between this quantitative and qualitative to more validate and attest the result. Thank you so much.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to ask something. This is Khalidul Hassan. I am actually working in NGOs and also a research student from Dhaka University. First of all, thank you for your nice presentation and clear and vivid presentation on this issue. Your title was very catchy. I was actually interested to see that what the climate change impact on that gender issues or gender-based issues you have mentioned rightly. But one thing is missing that we know the gender context of this country, Bangladesh. But what is actually the speciality on or a special effect of climate change on this vulnerability? I think you could do some control or some intervent areas among these, and also.
Do you have any question?
Yes.
I think the research can go anywhere if there is a scope. So I think
but
we have to be focusing on
regarding
the presentation she made so
Yes.
that we can get the feedback from her. Otherwise, like this climate change research is very big area. Everything could relate to climate change, and then research could be done. But we don't have that kind of potential right now because we have other priorities in the development area. So you can, if you have any question, just ask that one, then we can move to the next.
আচ্ছা আমি একটু বাংলায় বলি, হ্যাঁ, আমি হয়তো বোঝাতে পারি নাই। আমি বাংলায় বলতে চাচ্ছি যে আপনি যে ক্লাইমেট চেঞ্জের ইম্প্যাক্টটা বলেছেন যে ইনকামের উপরে, অথবা আপনি এখানে নিয়ে আসলেন পরবর্তীতে মাইগ্রেশন, আপনার টপিকের সাথে মাইগ্রেশনটা নাই, বাট আপনি স্পেসিফিক্যালি মাইগ্রেশন নিয়ে কথা বলেছেন, এবং যেটা হচ্ছে যে ক্লাইমেট চেঞ্জ আসলে কিভাবে এই জেন্ডার ইস্যুকে অ্যাড্রেস করলো, ডিফারেন্সটা কী? কারণ আমরা জানি যে জেন্ডার ইস্যুটা অ্যাক্রস দ্য বাংলাদেশ আমাদের আছে, আমাদের যে স্ট্যান্ডার্ডটা বা যে ইন্ডিকেটরগুলো আছে।
প্রশ্ন হচ্ছে আপনি জেন্ডার ইস্যুকে কিভাবে ক্লাইমেট চেঞ্জ অ্যাড্রেস করছেন,
এখানে কিভাবে নিয়ে আসেন?
এটা একটু বলেন প্লিজ।
কারণ ইন্ডিকেটর যে গ্যাপগুলো আছে সেটা তো আমাদের সেই গ্যাপের সাথে নরমাল এরিয়ার সাথে
না বোঝানোর দরকার নাই, মানে ইটস এ ভেরি ক্লিয়ার কোয়েশ্চেন। আই থিংক উই ক্যান গেট এ আনসার ফ্রম দ্য প্রেজেন্টার।
Sir, thank you, sir. I'd like to make a question. Did you address the mechanisms to be intervened for narrowing the gender gap in the recommendation part? Thank you.
So this is a good question and well prepared. So I request everyone to prepare a question on a piece of paper and then read it out. That would be much easier for the presenter to understand the dimension. Thank you.
Me, Sohail Iqbal, Dr. Sohail Iqbal from Coast Foundation, representative NGOs. Since it's a national conference, I prefer to speak in Bangla. প্রথমত হচ্ছে আমরা এনজিওস রোল যেটা আপনি বললেন ম্যাডাম, ধন্যবাদ আপনাকে, দুর্দান্ত প্রেজেন্টেশন, নো ডাউট। এনজিওসগুলো কী হতে পারে, স্পেসিফিক এরিয়াগুলো এখান থেকে যদি আইডেন্টিফাই করে দেওয়া যায়, আমরা সেটা নিয়ে কাজ করতে পারি। প্ল্যানিং সেক্রেটারি স্যার এখানে আছেন, দেয়ার আর সো মেনি এনজিওস, ন্যাশনাল ইন্টারন্যাশনাল এনজিও। আমাদের রিকোয়েস্ট হচ্ছে স্যার যদি সম্ভব হয়, আপনাকে পেয়েছেন বলে বলছি, আমাদের যত এনজিওস ক্লাইমেট, আরবান, এই সমস্ত ইস্যুগুলোতে আমরা যে সমস্ত কাজগুলো করছি, সমস্ত কাজগুলো আসলে এটা কি কদ্দূর আসলে প্রগ্রেস হচ্ছে কিনা, আপনার প্ল্যানিংয়ে কোথাও কোনো রোল ওখানে আমরা প্লে করতে পারি কিনা, কম্বাইনলি যদি স্যার আমাদের সবাইকে নিয়ে একটা কিছু করা যায় ন্যাশনালি বা রিজনালি, সেটা আমাদের জন্য সুবিধা, আমাদের কাজের কোঅর্ডিনেশনের সুবিধা। ধন্যবাদ সবাইকে।
Okay, thank you.
Shall I?
Yes, please. I think you can answer if you like, but I think it was yes, please. Yes.
Okay.
I
So
think
we can
this
talk later on. I
yes,
mean,
we can
some
talk
of the
later
queries
maybe.
I can explain later on. Yeah.
Can I, or I can come back later on.
No,
Okay.
no, please.
That should be the last one because we have a time constraint. We have other
Okay, thank you,
successive
Azreen.
sessions.
Thank you, Azreen.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good presentation of bringing all this together. This displacement and settlement, etc. In your paper, I did find that. Well, I'm Mahfuzul Haq. I'm a faculty of this of BIGM. In your paper, I did find that this migration in the rural areas, the gap widened, but in the urban areas, the gap lessened. Is it the understanding? That being so, the people would be more encouraged to go to the urban areas than that of in the rural areas, no matter this climate change or whatever it is. Is it the finding? Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. I think I'd like to request everyone to give a big hand to the presenter because she made a very good effort in bringing the gender dimension into the climate change. And I worked around 4 years in Ministry of Environment, and I know what it means in terms of gender. Climate change impact is severe, and this is very much a pertinent issue that we can take it forward. We have to mainstream these things into the national policy, and not into the only climate ministry, but it should be in the overall development process. So definitely we'll look forward for that. Thank you very much.
Sure. Thank you. Just to let you know, there's a paper out there, and most of these questions had been answered, but I'm feel free to question me later or
Yes.
during the lunch.
Okay,
So no problem.
I think we can
Thank you,
go
sir.
for the
Thank you so
second
much.
word, second paper. Okay. We have a panelist here, so we like to request the panelists to come on the podium.
We have with us present one esteemed panelist, Professor Dr. Saiful Islam, Vice Chancellor, American International University, Bangladesh. I would kindly request sir to please come in the dais. Thank you so much, sir.
So we will welcome our panelists. We'd like to move on to continue our presentation. And next presentation is a bibliometric study of carbon footprint solutions and a novel ultrasonic NDIR framework. And may I request the presenters Rohan Arpon and Nuzhat Islam Noumi for the presentation.
Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning, everyone. This is Nuzhat Islam Noumi, and thank you, sir, for giving me the floor and giving me an excellent opportunity to present my paper here. Today, I'll be sharing my studies titled A Bibliometric Study of Carbon Footprint Solution and a Novel Ultrasonic NDR Framework. But before I jump into my presentation, I have a question to you all. Do you know what is the biggest silent killer which can kill up to 7 million people worldwide in a year? Any assumption from the audience? Unfortunately, according to WHO report, it's air pollution. And the main culprit, industrial emission. It can increase up to 60% greenhouse gas emission. The problem is very big, but the solutions are not enough. That's why the problem really exists. We have some traditional monitoring system often rely on periodic estimates that lack real-time accuracy and hindering effective mitigation. The study explores key research trends and introduces a real-time greenhouse gas monitoring system using ultrasonic and NDR system technologies. Our research objective is here, analyze global research trends in carbon footprint solution using bibliometric methods, and in second, identify the leading contributors and intellectual structures of the domain. And lastly, propose a new real-time industry emission monitoring system. Moving on, For our data collection, we have used an open database named Lens. Lens database filtering criteria, then 2016 to 2024, only journal articles only and specific words like carbon dioxide emission, and related to that, we have analyzed 143 papers from the 600, 551 papers for our bibliometric analysis. And next, we used a software named Viewer for the map analysis. Now, you might be curious about what is bibliometric analysis. For make it easy, let's imagine a smart librarian. He doesn't read all the books, but he maps what are the popular topics and what are the authors. But you map out his writing, what is the trend and who is collaborating, and what are the missing knowledge is. And the bibliometric study works just like that. It identifies popular topics, analyzes researchers' connection, and finally discover emerging topics. Here is a bibliometric analysis process that we used in our papers. First, we identified research area, then we selected bibliometric techniques. And among them, these are co-authorship mapping, co-citation analysis, keyword co-occurrence, and finally, bibliographic coupling. And moving to that, we next did network visualization, density map, and finally document relationship matrix. We have identified annual public trends. From the graph, you can see there is a sudden growth from 2016 in the number of publications. And behind that, we have identified a reason, which is 2050's Paris Agreement signed. And after the 2020's sharp net zero policy announcement, there is again growth in 2023 to 2024. From our analysis, we have identified major research clusters, and these 4 clusters are renewable energy integration, energy governance and regulation for emission control, regional case-specific studies, and finally, theoretical framework for carbon calculation and monitoring. This is the co-authorship mapping. The co-authorship network visualization highlights the collaborative relationships among authors within a dataset of 143 papers using fractional counting, which is proportionally allocates credit among the co-authors. Here's the text analysis map and the co-occurrence network visualization constructing using Viewer with a fractional counting method. And here in the pivotal role, we have economic development, and it occurred 119 times within 143 papers. And the cluster formed around this central theme illustrate thematic subdomains. Here we identify the key contributors, and we have identified that King South University has the most highly contribution in this sector, and which is 4.2%. Here is the co-citation analysis visualization. It highlights the intellectual structure of the research domain by identifying the key clusters of the identified co-authors. Here is the bibliographic coupling. Network generated using Viewer reveals the intellectual structure of the research. It analyzes focus on the clustering of authors based on the shared reference. And in the map, you can see a red big ball. Here, Umar Shahzad emerges the most influential node as indicated by the larger size and a central position in the network. Now let's jump into what is bibliographic coupling. It works like a bridge between 2 roads, and bibliographic connects 2 papers rely on the same previous research. From our research, we have 5 clusters, and these are red, green, blue, orange, and finally yellow. Let's identify what are the key topics among them. In the red cluster, it focuses on environmental taxes, energy consumption. Next, in the green culture, it represents the renewable energy and adoption. And in the blue culture, it influences the financial and economic factors. And in the next orange clusters, it's represent promoting sustainable development. And finally, in the yellow cluster, emerging research on regional and case-specific. From our research, we have identified some research gaps. If we analyze the traditional system, it has poor scalability, limited AI integration, and basic monitoring framework. But if we analyze what will be the need of future, it needs scalable deployment, advanced monitoring framework, and enhanced AI integration. And for this, we are proposing a greenhouse gas monitoring framework, which consists of ultrasonic flow meters and NDR sensor to measure greenhouse gas emission with high precision. The ultrasonic flow meter determines the flow rate in emission streams, and the NDR sensor detects specific gases.
So you have 3 minutes remaining. Please try to wrap it up within that time, please.
Thank you, sir. Guys, based on their infrared absorption profiles. And this system is divided into two portions, which is hardware and software. The hardware are the ultrasonic flow meters and NDR sensors, and the software connects everything, and it passes the data into cloud system, and finally the output can be shown in your mobile device or any other monitor system. Here is the illustration how the system will work. And it's a positive thing that it enhances the accuracy by 40 to 50%. Based on the research, we have some policy recommendation to implement it easily. For this, we can incentivize real-time monitoring adoption, next mandate pollutant-specific standards, and finally, the support technological innovation. In conclusion, we can say, in our research, we have identified the key trends, dominant themes, and intellectual structures. And our research combines both bibliometric studies and actionable technological innovation, which our industries really need. And here are the references we have used. Thank you, everyone. Let's together make a carbon-free world.
Thank you very much. You saved 1 minute 32 seconds from your session. We appreciate that. And we'd like to open the floor for any question for Ms. Islam. I don't see any raised hands. Yes, please. So just focus on the question, ask the question straight, without elaborating that. If needed, we'll be asking for any elaboration needed. Otherwise, ask the question in a framed way so that she can answer.
Are you Rohan or are you Nuzhat?
This is Nuzhat Islam Noumi.
You're Nuzhat. Okay. Thank you, Nuzhat, for the presentation. But it's something new. Something new, and it's a new dimension to the whole research of climate change. Okay. I just wonder, how does it impact Bangladesh? It looks like it's a global study, isn't it? You're looking at the climate change related global study. How does it, as a policymaker, I would like to know, how does it impact Bangladesh, or how Bangladesh fits in the whole issue of this, this bibliographic design of this climate change issues? Basically, very simple.
Thank you, sir, for your question. Our main research is based on the open access lens database, which is based on the worldwide data. But unfortunately, Bangladesh has very less paper in carbon footprint solution. The mainly papers are from China and the USA. But for Bangladesh, we believe we are suffering from air pollution, and as a solution, we need to develop a system that can control the industrial emission, because in Bangladesh the industrial emission is very high scale, and to determine the specific quality, we can introduce this system to Bangladesh industries so that we can less the tax system, and we can attract the global business investors to come into our country. If they see we are using a sustainable development goal based industry, and we are using this kind of industrial flow meters, they will be more attracted to come to Bangladesh and doing the business with us, and we will be economically developed.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. We have more questions we like to take. Please, Dr. Farooq.
Thank you, Chair, sir, for allowing me to for this question. Thank you, Ms. Nuzhat Islam Noumi, for your well-structured presentation. I
sir.
really appreciate it. I have to understand that you have used BOSVR for your analysis.
Yeah.
So have you used any keywords for that?
Yes,
Can you please explain the keywords, and are they really captured your whole topics to identify your findings? Please explain that.
Okay,
Thank you.
Straightforward question.
Thank
Go
you, sir,
ahead.
for your question.
So we have to finish in 2 minutes time, 2+ minutes. Please contain your timing as per
At our
schedule.
first phase, we have used title industry, carbon and footprint and solution. And here were keywords were carbon footprint, carbon emission, technological innovation, carbon dioxide energy consumption, carbon dioxide governance, chemical sustainable, and greenhouse gases like sulfur oxide, methane, and carbon dioxide. And in our second phase, we use some filters like 2016 to 2024 and specific journal article just like that.
Okay. I don't see any raised hands. Okay, that should be the last one. Over to you. Okay, just 1 minute. Please raise your question there. Go ahead.
Okay, you claim to have used the lens database for your bibliometric analysis. Now, you could have used others too, like you could have used PubMed and so on. Why did you just use lens?
Okay, so it's a straight question. You can answer it straight.
All right, thank you, sir, for your question. We have some other database like Scopus Index, but they are subscription based and we need a particular monetary amount. But we have used Lens because it's the open database, and as we're doing bibliometric analysis, it aligns with our goal as Lens have the more database and more access to the authors. That's why we use the Lens database.
Okay, thank you very
You
much.
could have also used Google Scholar, for instance.
We have the last question here.
Well, I have just straight question. This NDIR technology, where is it used? And what are the possibilities of using it in Bangladesh?
Thank you, sir, for your question. We have some machines that uses ultraflow meters and NDR sensors separately, but we want to integrate it both because ultrasonic flow meter determines the flow rates and the NDR sensors can specify the gas with the infrared adoption profiles. For example, we need to identify which is methane gas and which is carbon dioxide gas, and NDR sensor can do it by the infrared ray based on the density of that gas. If we use it, we can identify the specific gases, and secondly, we can take actions how to mitigate those. Because mitigation action will be different for different gases. That's why it's important to use NDR sensor to detect the specific gases.
Which countries are using it and whether it is possible to use in Bangladesh. Because as far as I know, this carbon footprint studies are very limited, and in Bangladesh it is almost near, non-existent.
Sir, as I've said earlier, it's important to attract the global investors to come in Bangladesh to do business with us. For example, a color manufacturing company uses this kind of flow meters and NDR sensors is develop the sustainable development goals. And especially companies like Canada or USA or China, the businessman focuses on the where the industries maintains this SDG goal or not. So our main goal is to use this kind of technology to attract the global businessmen and investors so that we can develop our economy day by day.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we like to give a big round of applause for the presenter. It was a very technical presentation with the solutions to the problem that we are discussing. And definitely the researcher will take it forward, and you yourself may take it forward and come to the other persons who are applying that into the policies. So that, with that, I thank Ms. For your excellent presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, and thank you, audience, for your time and attention. Thank you for having me.
So, may I request the next presentation from pollution to solution, evaluating ETP effectiveness and the future sustainability in the textile industry. Right is the clock that is ticking, so you have to follow that once you make your presentation.
Good noon, everyone. Thank you, and thank you for being here today. My name is Mahbub Sayam, and today I will be presenting my research from pollution to solution, evaluating its effectiveness and future sustainability in the textile industry. Let's begin with the background of the textile industry in Bangladesh. This sector is known as the backbone of Bangladesh economy because it makes up 80% exports, 12% GDP, and it provides jobs to over 1.4 million people in Bangladesh. But the problem is that this sector is highly water intensive. It consumes 164 liters of water to process the 1 kg of fabric and generate 190 liters of water for per kg textile process. This is the alarming situation for both the global and Bangladesh. So we need some solution to solve this problem. Now I will talk about the problem created by this sector to the environment. The textile wastes come from the industries in the environment. Contains heavy metals like dyes, trace metals, and many other pollutants, and these are dangerous to the aquatic life, human health, and agricultural land. To solve these issues, the industries are using effluent treatment plant or ETP, which reduce the waste from the wastewater and discharge to the environment. But another problem is there. It consumes a lot of energy. It consumes a lot of energy, which is about 2 units per meter cube of wastewater. To address this problem, we need a solution, and we need a sustainable solution. To solve this problem, we need a sustainable solution. So we aim to focus on this. Solution. Now I will talk about the goal of this study. We collect the samples from the ETP from both inlet and outlet of over 15 days for 4 times a day. And where we analyze the pH, TDS, DO, and temperature. We also recorded the cost of the chemical during the treatment process. We also explored sustainable options like solar energy and advanced oxidation method to make the process more efficient. Here I have shown the ETP process overview that are mostly followed by the Bangladeshi textile industry. Due to time constraint, I'm not explaining this process. Now I will talk about the methodology section. Where I already told about that I collected the data. I collected the samples from the both inlet and outlet, and it was 15 days period, and it was.
You have 6 minutes left for the presentation. Come to the main point, I think, results, because you are giving the introduction, so that would be helpful for the audience to understand the findings.
This is the result section. Let's begin with the pH analysis. The inlet pH values are fluctuate between 7 to 9, which is highly alkaline due to the various types of chemical used in the textile. And the outlet value is within 6 to 7, and this is neutral. So we can say that the outlet value within the Department of Environmental Bangladesh standard, and we achieved the reduction percentage 9.48 to 21.64%. Now I will talk about another key parameter, which is total dissolved solid, or as known as TDS. The TDS analysis from the figure, we can say that the inlet value is 800 to 1,378 milligram per liter, and the outlet value is within the 1,000 milligram per liter, which is below the maximum allowed level by the Department of Environmental Bangladesh. Now we'll talk about dissolved oxygen. According to the DOE Bangladesh, the DO level should be within 4.5 milligram per liter, above 4.5 milligram per liter, but the inlet value is too much low. But after the treatment, outlet value is above the 5 milligram per liter. We can say that the biological treatment works effectively by adding the oxygen into the water. Now I will talk about the temperature variation during the analysis. The inlet temperature was 30 to 36 degrees Celsius, but the outlet temperature was after the treatment 29 to 32 degrees Celsius. But it did not follow the standard by the DOE. The DOE standard is near about 30 degrees Celsius. So we need to focus on this. Now I will talk about the daily chemical uses for the treatment process. The main chemical wire uses for the treatment was polyaluminum chloride, hydrochlorine, and decoloring agent with smaller amount of DAP, urea, and polyelectrolyte. Since we have seen that TDS, pH, and DO level are standard, but the temperature did not meet the standard. So we need some recommendation for our future treatment. Here I will talk about advanced oxidation technique. A study showed that titanium oxide with UV or peroxide and UV and peroxide works effectively by to degrade the dyes and pollutants. Also, another study showed that cerium titanium oxide with photocatalysis and peroxide works effectively to reduce the COD, and it achieves about 85%. Another study said that titanium oxide with PVDF and UV with peroxide also achieved near about 65% COD removal efficiency. Now I will talk about the cost of the. Now I will talk about the cost that will reduce the total cost for the industry. We know that the solar energy is cost effective and eco-friendly. A sister concern group of Paris Knitting and Dyes Industries Limited already installed the rooftop solar on their industry, and they saved near about 6 million within the 8 months period. And they take the electricity for per unit 5.5 to 6.5 Dhaka. On the other hand, the grid electricity
so you have
is
less than 3 minutes for completing the presentation.
Sir. On the other hand, the grid electricity is near about 10 Dhaka, which is much higher than the solar energy. So we recommend to use at least 50% solar energy with the replacement of grid electricity. In conclusion, we can say that the pH, TDS, and DO follow the DOE standard, DOE Bangladesh standard, but the temperature did not follow the DOE standard. So we need to add up some advanced method like advanced oxidation process and sustainable version like solar energy to make the process more sustainable and efficient. And I want to add something that some textile industries from KDS, from Chittagong, which is KDS Textile, and from Narayanganj, Foki Knitwears Limited, and from Gazipur, Faris Knitting and Dyeing Industries Limited, and also Apex Holdings Limited already trying to advance oxidation method to make the process more efficient, to make their treatment of process more efficient, and they are trying to more installing the solar energy, and they are aiming to sell the solar energy to back to the grid electricity, and they are trying to earn something from this process. Thank you everyone for your attention.
Thank you very much. I'll open the floor for the question and answer. If there is any question, yes, please. Please focus on the question right away.
Thank you for your nice presentation. I'd like to directly go to the questions. What is the current degree of pollution, especially done by the dyeing factories? Number one. Number two, and to what degree of pollution can be reduced by using ETP? Thank you.
Okay, very straightforward question. So over to you. You can answer his question. Yeah.
Thank you for your question. Actually, dyeing factory polluted a lot. We already know that, but we did not produce any method that can solve this issue. But one method is produced that is supercritical carbon dioxide, which do not require any water, and where the carbon dioxide is used as a both liquid and the process requirement. But this process is highly costly. That's why our Bangladeshi textile industries do not using this method. But some South African industries are using this method. So we are trying to invent a solution for this method. And I'm working with some professor from Canadian and Butex. And this project is funded by the Canadian government. And we are trying to invent a solution for both dyeing factory and washing factory.
Okay, thank you very much. First you and then in the front. Just specific questions, because we are running short of time.
Thank you for the presentation. My first question is it a primary study or secondary study? Sometimes in the abstract, it is mentioned that we analyze. That means it is primary study.
The question is clear. Okay. Primary or secondary?
And then, what is the actually you suggest? Because there are study and you mentioned that renewable use of renewable energy or chemical use.
Ask the question,
cost.
please.
So, actually, what is your suggestion based on your primary study or based on secondary study by the...
Okay, but through your study.
factors?
So what is your suggestion? That's the question. You can answer it first and then I can go for the next
Thank you for your question. It is primary study, but we recommend to use advanced oxidation method because we need to protect our environment from the degradation. So although the process is costly, but we need to adapt it.
Okay, thank you. Last question from the floor, or you want? Okay, maybe later.
Assalamu alaikum, Sayam. In fact, this ETP is my cup of tea, so I thought that perhaps I should put a question to you. And that is this solar energy driven ETP, because you are looking at effectiveness of ETP. So that being so, is it the only industry, forest, there's the only industry using this one? Because we need to show a model and tag it with the Department of Environment in order to sell this model. So how far,
I think you got the question, no?
Yeah.
Okay.
This study is only focused on forest knitting and dyeing industries limited, but I wanted to collect data from various industries, but they are now in the primary stage, so that's why they could not give me the data.
Okay, thank you very much. We have, I don't see any raised hands. Okay, I got one last on the back, maybe.
Thank you. Thank you for your nice presentation. I found a significant gap in the methodology, especially you don't mention any sampling method. How many sample you collect from different industries and how many industries you include? You also don't mention. You also don't show the spatial location of the such industries you studied. Thank you.
Okay, so.
I already mentioned that we collected data for over 15 days and 4 times a day. We collected the data from the Forest Knitting and Dyeing Industries Limited.
Okay, thank you. It generated a lot of questions. Last question from the floor. Gentleman here.
Yeah.
Thank you. Very simple. What percentage, I mean, you are studying the garment industries, am I right?
Yeah.
Okay. What percentage of garment industries follow the ETP method, you say? ETP exercises, what percentage of them do it, you see?
Okay, you got the question.
Number 2 is, you have suggested some alternative methods. Does that make it cost effective?
Thank you, sir.
Most of the large-scale factories are following ETP treatment process, but some of the small-scale factories do not follow this ETP process. And we visited many small factories. Even they discharge the water without treatment. So we can say most of the large factories are following this ETP process.
Okay.
And
Sir, one more question.
No, I have to finish because we have a question from the panelists. So after this, if we have time, if it is permitted, then we can go for one more question. Okay? Yes.
Well, my question is, I had been to places like Rupganj, Kachpur, Bhulta, Mahbub, up to Mahbub. I try to see the amount of pollution coming out of the dyeing factories, So having seen this thing, my understanding is that it's a huge volume of discharge which are coming out of these factories. Now, you have been suggested titanium oxide, ultraviolet ray, hydrogen peroxide, and all these things. These are not cheap. Now, how do you propose that this kind of huge volume of water, which is, the chemical which is coming out and going to the Shitolakha river either or going to Meghna river and also in the fields, how will you take care of those things with the help of these chemicals? Because this, to me, it's not feasible,
I think it's a big question, actually.
Okay.
It is a national question, I think, but he can try to answer that.
I said that I collected the information from a study, and where they showed the removal percentage, and also they showed the this method can reduce the dyes and pollutant degradation.
Okay. I think we have to go to the last question, really last question from the audience, and gentleman here.
Assalamu alaikum. My question to you is, you have collected data for 4 interval. So why you choose those 4 interval? Is there any specific benefit in your study to choose this interval? And secondly, you have suggested and recommended that replace 50% of energy with solar to reduce cost and emission. Within a 15 days study, do you think it's a validated recommendation?
Very specific.
Okay, at first I want to say that I collected the data for 4 times a day because the reason was the temperature. Because mainly the reason was temperature. Because in the morning the temperature was something, and the afternoon and the noon the temperature was something. So I wanted to see the variation of the temperature, and also I wanted to see that how the pH, DO, and TDS varied between due to temperature variation. And
okay, I think we exhausted all the questions that we had, and it was a complex issue, and it's a research, and we have to take it forward to the implementation stage. So that remains the challenge, and definitely we'll have somebody somewhere to take this up and take it in the reality. So I like to thank the researcher for doing the excellent work, and that is going towards the real solution that we can have. So it will not be the only solution, it should be adding to the part of the solutions that we need to make. And that remains a challenge, national challenge. As I said that I work for Finance Ministry as well, my previous boss is here. Finance is the biggest challenge, but I think working with the Environment Ministry, I found that is the biggest challenge, because we are hardly doing anything. We are trying, but we cannot do that. Finance, we can make solutions for the year. Like some issues will remain outside finance for the year, but next year that can get the financing. For environmental degradation, it is happening forever, and we are unlikely to revert it back to the original. So with this note, I like to go for the next. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your time.
Next paper is energy conservation for buildings in Dhaka. And the author is Muhammad Nafiz Mahmud.
Very good noon. Honorable Chair of the session and esteemed panelists and audience. Assalamu alaikum. I'm very glad to that I have presented my works as I that is my topics is energy conservation for building in Dhaka city. My name is Muhammad Nafiz Mahmud and I'm working as an executive engineer at PWD. Being a structured, I mean, in PWD, I working in different sector like hospital, the mosque, the other structured building. The urbanization and energy demand in Dhaka, basically Dhaka is scarcity for the, I mean, many people in the Dhaka, in the whole city in Dhaka, there is most of the people are I mean, all the year round are coming from the territory of the Bangladesh in Dhaka. So most of the energy consumption in Dhaka is day by day increasing. That's why I'm choosing these topics. So I start the presentation. Urbanization energy demand in Dhaka. Dhaka has experienced a rapid urbanization leading to significant rise in energy consumption. More people living in buildings and increased infrastructure development contribute to higher energy demand. The need for energy conservation. Energy conservation is crucial for sustainable development and ensuring Dhaka's long-term livability. Efficient energy use and waste reduction are key to addressing the rising energy demand. As I know that the solution for the renewable energy and also the energy conservation also the kind of renewable, because most of the if you think that the solar can produce 40% of energy in terms of the conventional energy, and also energy conservation also conserve the 40% in some I mean data I'm seeing it. Challenge of energy conservation Dhaka building. Structural challenges. Poor building design, insulation, high density urbanization. Technical challenges, lack of energy efficient materials. Inefficient electrical system. Financial and economical challenges. High initial cost of green technology. Limited incentives. Behavioral and regulatory challenges. Low awareness among stakeholders. Quick implementation of building codes. What is energy audit? A systematic assessment of a building energy performance. Why it is important? Identifies areas of inefficient energy use, helps optimize energy efficiency and reduce cost, minimize environmental impact, problem statement and research focus. Many buildings in Dhaka do not meet optimal energy efficiency level. Lack of energy audit regulation and efficiency standard result in continued energy wastage. Objective of this paper highlights the importance of energy audits in improving energy efficiency. So how energy audit can help reduce overall energy consumption and support Dhaka sustainability goal. Scope of the study, focus on commercial building in Dhaka city. Because my scope of the study, because of the commercial building, because of the initial investment of the energy conservation is quite good in terms of the household try to implement this. And as you know that the Rajuk, BNBC, the code of building code and Rajuk and also our ministry, Ministry of Housing and Public Works can relocate these things for the commercial building, because most of the commercial building they did not know what is the energy audit. That's why I focus on the focus of this study is the commercial building in Dhaka city. Assessing efficiency and trends in energy use supports policy initiatives for sustainable urban energy management. Methodology, mixed method approach, combines quantitative analysis of energy consumption data, qualitative case studies of commercial being in Dhaka, provides a comprehensive understanding of energy efficiency and the impact of the energy audits. Key methodology stop was the data collection, energy consumption data for utility bills, building plans, energy audit reports, focus on HVAC system, lighting efficiency and building design. Quantitative analysis identifies common energy efficiencies, inefficiencies and consumption pattern, examine building envelope performance, HVAC efficiency and lighting system.
So we have 4 minutes left, so you have to go fast with the results. I think you can skip some of the. Okay, if you can manage, it's fine.
I already told the methodology, so I skipped it. The research findings. High energy demand in commercial building. Commercial building in Dhaka consume significantly more energy than residential building, primarily due to air conditioning, lighting, electrical appliance. Peak electricity demand occurs during office hours with high energy loads in HVAC system, heating, ventilation, air conditioning. Inefficiency in the HVAC system. Many buildings have old inefficient air conditioning system that consume excess energy. Lack of proper insulation, ventilation leads to increased cooling demand. Poor maintenance of HVAC system result in energy wastage. Lighting system are major energy consumer. Traditional fluorescent incandescent bulbs are still widely used, leading to unnecessary energy consumption. Lack of motion sensor and daylight optimization result in continuous operation of artificial lighting, even when natural light is insufficient. Poor building envelope performance. Many buildings lack thermal insulation, causing more heat absorption and increased cooling requirements. Single glazed windows contribute to heat gain and higher conditioning costs. I can added this thing that I have some presentation on using the solar glass for the efficiencies of the building.
So you have less than 3 minutes to wrap it up.
Limited use of renewable energy. Despite high solar potential, very commercial buildings use solar panels or PV glass. Heavy reliance on grid electricity, increased operational cost and carbon footprint. Lack of energy management practice. Few buildings undergo energy audits, leading to undetected inefficiencies. No automated energy monitoring system in most commercial buildings, making it difficult to track energy usage pattern. This is the calculation of energy saving by using energy conservation practice that already I have performed this. This is only the result that is the economically viable that I calculate in this operation. I skip those things. That is graphical presentation of energy savings by using energy conservation practice, LED light only. Here the graph, you can see that the use of the, if you using energy conservation practice, you can save energy. I skipped all the things that I calculated in the things. Policy implementation, strengthening building codes of regulation, mandatory energy efficiency standard, green certification system, financial incentives, and market-based approaches, subsidies and tax benefit, green loans, financing, public-private partnership, and international collaboration with private developers, learning from global best practice, capacity building and research development, training for architects and engineers, research and innovation grants. The role of energy audits is sustainable development. Energy audits are essential for improving energy efficiency in Dhaka building. They help reduce greenhouse gas emission, lower utility cost, enhance building sustainability, particularly crucial for rapidly urbanizing cities like Dhaka, where energy demand is rising. Key benefits of energy audit: identifies inefficiency in HVAC, lighting, insulation, recommends energy savings measures such as improved insulation efficient lighting, upgrade HVAC system, adoption of renewable energy, solar panel, etc. Enhance indoor comfort while reducing environment impact. That's all for.
Okay, thank you very much. You are spot on. You have 36 seconds more, but I think we can clap that time for you. So now we like to invite questions. I see few hands starting from here. So just focus on the question, no intro.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'll be very focused. I'm not expert on this energy. However, I have seen your reference list, and I saw that only few books and articles, those are not really from the academic field of research databases, and there were not any kinds of recent journal articles there. So you should go for recent articles from the research databases and see what they have done already, and then make your research question. Thank you so much.
Okay, it's a suggestion from the audience. Sir, over to you. And then we'll be coming there. Hey, সামনে একটা microphone then.
Thank you, presenter. I think his message was very clear. So now just one question. You have rightly prioritized commercial building, but in Dhaka, there are many high-rise residential buildings as well. And do you have any plan to cover the high-rise building, residential high-rise buildings as well? So there, also there is a need for energy conservation for those buildings as well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your question. Basically, I'm working as an executive engineer at PWD. I'm only focused on the, government building. But being an energy auditor, certified energy auditor, I found that most of the energy used by the commercial building, though we have here very large structure for the private using, but the most of the energy consumption by the commercial building. So that's why I focus on that commercial building. If we are more educated or more habituate for this energy auditing, then we can.
I think we can scale it up because it's a proof of concept, and he did the research and got the feedback. I think that could be scaled up by the government or somebody else. Okay, thank you, sir. And then.
আমার কোশ্চেনটা ছিল হচ্ছে যে এই স্টাডিটা কিভাবে আমাদের বিল্ডিং যখন ডিজাইন করা হয় এখানে বলছে এনার্জি অডিট
আচ্ছা দিস ইজ আমার মানে আমার নাম আরাসু খান আমি আই ইউজ টু বি ওয়ার্কিং উইথ ইকবাল আবদুল্লাহ হারুন and he is, I think, sits in the same chair that I sat as the member planning commission. So, and I take this advantage because I had a question. I had a question which I kept to myself. Ami Dhaka amar basha Gulshane, and from Police Plaza onwards to the Gulshan Link Road done, you see up to the Tajuddin Road connectivity. A linked road tar moddhe. To the left and to the right side, the huge building uttesche shopguli na, it's like 40, 50 bodhoy arekta Dhaka Tower ekta hocche, it's very big, and mane eto boro building gulo hocche, but the road that we have is still the same thing. We couldn't do that. So all the conservatories, the support gula like water, sewerage, তারপরে রাস্তা ইটসেলফ আপনি মনে করেন একটা যেমন শান্তা টাওয়ারগুলির থেকে নিচ থেকে যদি গাড়িগুলি বেরোয় বিকেলবেলা সন্ধ্যার সময় what is it going to be happening when all these structures taking place? My question to you, being the member planning commission, it's not your directly, but I'm sure the Rajuk is also, and how could Rajuk allow such huge skyscrapers lined up from Police Plaza up to Tajuddin Road with little facility? I don't know how, kibhabe eta parbe. And I have no idea what is going to happen after 2-3 years when buildings are completed.
Okay, sir, I got your question.
Thank you.
I think it's very difficult question to answer, but I think I will pass it on to you, sir, because I think it was past when you were the member at that time, because I came here for very recently, and so maybe it's just joking, sir, because it's a Raju question actually, we cannot answer. So I have the last person on the back with the question.
আমার কোশ্চেনটা হচ্ছে যে এনার্জি মানে ডে লাইটটা ব্যবহার করব, তো বিল্ডিং ডিজাইনের সময় তো এটা ডিজাইন করা হয়, সো এই স্টাডিটা কীভাবে সাহায্য করবে যে আমি ডে লাইট মানে দিনের আলোটা বেশি ব্যবহার করতে পারবো এনার্জি কম খরচ করে, এটা কমার্শিয়াল বিল্ডিং হোক বা আমাদের আবাসিক
ডে লাইটটাকে ইউজ করে কিভাবে আমরা এনার্জি, টোটাল এনার্জি, ফাইনাল এনার্জি কম খরচ করব।
এবং আপনার স্টাডিতে যেটা হচ্ছে যে এনার্জি কনভার্সন ইস্যুটি আসছে, সো এটা কিভাবে বিল্ডিং ডিজাইনের ক্ষেত্রে আপনার এই স্টাডিটা কিভাবে সাহায্য করবে আর কি, একজন আর্কিটেক্ট কিভাবে হেল্প করবে এটা আর কি।
আচ্ছা, কোশ্চেন তো প্রেজেন্টারের কাছে, তাই না? আপনি বলেন প্লিজ।
বেসিক্যালি ডে লাইট তো আমাদের ঢাকা শহরটা, সরি, দ্য থিং ইজ ঢাকা ইজ এ ভেরি কনজেস্টেড এরিয়া, সো it is quite impossible to get all the daylight in at room. Beside of all these things, you can added the things for using the daylight. As I told it before, that I have already one presentation for the glasses which is used in the building for you can produce the energy from the solar, and also using the light which is emitting to the the room. So it's quite impossible to told you that how we use that daylight in a very congested area. But your thinking is quite help to me to send who are designed the the building. I can I convey to your the concerns.
Okay, thank you. We are running short of time. We have one more presentation left, so we like to go back to the next presentation. But before that, I like to give audience, our panelists, if somebody has got any question from the panel. Do you have? Yes. So just go straight to the question, so we can get the answer.
Well, if you go to the Gulshan area or any other places, you see the shops, or in the sanitary shops in Hatirpur, you see a shop requires maybe 5 or 6 lights, but they have used 32 lights, 50 lights, 60 lights. So no necessity of those lights, and there is no restriction on these things. This is posing a serious problem, because we had seen the dark days, we had from 90s to 2000, we had real bad situation when we could not have a single light operating condition. This is a great concern, I think, and in your paper you mentioned at one stage that, probably you tried to highlight that there is not adequate amount of solar panels. Now, let me mention that if you climb from the Ranks place to the expressway and look around, every building has got solar panels. Even after that, those are not being useful, because why? DPDC, DESCO, everybody has got the regulation that if you make a new building, you ought to have solar panels. The point is that these solar panels are not contributing in any way to the buildings. These are just remaining there. They are isolated. They are not connected to the system. There is no system which has been developed. This is very sad. Yeah. And also, you mentioned that the old buildings, we do not have any more old buildings. If you go to Wari, which was pretty old, you see all the skyscrapers, new buildings over there. The point is that the buildings are not, has got very luxurious design of electric lights. There's consuming more power, not this thing. And lighting does not consume more power than the air conditioning. So air conditioning consumes more power. I just pointed out those points, because time is short. I've got more things to discuss.
Thank you.
Just one more point. BNBC does not give any guideline, on electrical, utilization of light or energy. It gives you safety requirements only. Because I was the author of this last BNBC. So I know what it contains, So anyway, these are the points I want to do. Just
thank you very much for bringing
not to criticize, just to
audience, for the panelist side. And anything you like to say?
Just one question is like that. You have focusing on the building, like the lighting and other aspects. But by designing of a building, we can reduce the temperature within the building, maybe the 5 to 6 degree.
we can maybe the building temperature, in-house temperature, maybe the 20 to 23. We are not dependent on the air conditioning system or other thing. But in your presentation, the design aspect is missing. Some of the design aspect is missing.
Okay, can I answer?
I think we have 2 more presentations.
Okay,
so I
sir.
think it's a very, the topic is very close to the hearts of these people sitting in the room. Dhaka city and the urban problems are all very integrated part of our life. Every morning we see, as somebody, we are now specifically talking about different areas. Different area has got different problems in terms of infrastructure, road infrastructure, building infrastructure, and other things. And everybody faces that in the morning and in the evening. So we can talk more on that, but I think we have to proceed to the next one. Next
Thank you,
is...
sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you to this gentleman. Excellent work, and you are a practitioner, so you have more insights than anybody else, actually, because you have you are working with the Public Works Department, and you are dealing with the construction side. Definitely, you will have that insights in the planning that you are making from the PWD.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
With
Assalamu
this
alaikum.
expectation, we'll go for the title paper 5, Assessing the Socioeconomic Impacts of Climate Change in Bangladesh, a case study of Ashashuni, Upazila, Satkhira districts. Is it the one? Yes, okay. Thank you. Presenter is Muhammad Abdullah Al Mamun and Sanjida Afruz, two co-authors.
Oh, thank you very much. Peace and blessings be upon all of you. I'm Abdullah Mahmoud from Jahangir University. At the same time, I'm a teacher. Mainly, I teach English, IELTS and GRE. All right, and at the same time, I conduct some in-depth research under the supervision of Professor Khalid Quddus, from Jahangir University, Department of International Relations. My topic's title is Assessing the Socioeconomic Impacts of Climate Change in Bangladesh, a case study mainly for a particular location. First of all, I would like to say, as a part of introduction, that is, the very word is climate change. The whole world is highly concerned about this particular word. It is nothing new. There is a challenge associated with climate, and we are the human being mostly responsible for these catastrophic events that's happening around the world, particularly countries in the global south. Bangladesh is one of them. It's one of the most vulnerable countries. I would say it's the most, not among the most. It's the most vulnerable countries in the world because our policymakers somewhat dissatisfied to their policy making because we are continuously focusing on our GDP instead of focusing our human health. Continuously we are doing. Anyway, let's talk about our research objectives. These are my objectives. Of course, when there is a problem, there are some objectives. These are objectives. My core research methodology is, mixed method, quantitative and qualitative. In terms of quantitative, we took data from 400 participants, and it was a snowball sampling. Cross-sectional method, it was used. In terms of qualitative data analysis, in-depth interview was taken from some, experts, university teachers, or those are experts in the respective field. This is our research methodology. there is a huge gap. In terms of gap, I would say, as I said, it is a cross-sectional. So I think Bangladesh itself is a gap in terms of research. If I talk about our journals, only 12 to 13 research journals are indexed among 47,000 indexed journals. So there is a huge gap in our research domain. This is our research methodology as I talk about. Quantitative survey. I mean, different types of questions were distributed among the participants. They replied, and this is our results. Age distribution, for example, gender distribution of respondents among 400 participants, household size distribution respondents, these are results. Quantitative research, more results, occupation distribution respondents. I mean, the question was their current, occupation, education level, they were asked, climate change awareness, whether they know it or not, or this is the very first word, they are learning this word. These questions was distributed, and more questions, environmental changes noticed by respondents. And these are questions I will discuss in my discussion part. And quantitative surveys more. For example, household displacement or migration due to climate-related reasons. How many people? A huge, handsome amount of people, they were displaced because of climate change impact. More results. Since only 10 minutes. So that's why I'm just forwarding. I'm trying to show you the results. Quantitative survey results more. The question was, more questions, governments or NGO assistance, whether they receive any assistance due to their, since they were affected many times in Bangladesh, particularly in that particular region. In terms of qualitative methods, some questions, sample questions, it was given some experts, and they were asked. 20 to 30 minutes interview, it was taken, and it was recorded with the permission. A permission was taken. This is a part of our research, as we know. And I love this panel because there's a fantastic integration between experts, experienced individuals, and the youth or minds. That's a fantastic. In terms of my qualitative or our qualitative research, we try to understand and take some notes, take some ideas from the experts associated with climate change or in terms of international relations, because there is a good correlation between climate change and international relations. Because whenever we are talking about our climate change, at the same time, we are, day by day, we are, improving or increasing our garments industry, and we are improving or introducing more cars, which are, liable for our global warming and climate change. Actually, I would say, systematically, we are being killed. Instead of using bullet, we are being killed strategically. We don't need some in-depth policies. These types of questions, and many questions were asked. The question, like for example, the first question, what is the most of facing climate risks in this region? One of the core experts, one of the experts in our qualitative part, he replied sea level. He talked about sea level. It is increasing because we know that due to climate change, there is an increase we are observing. Even the whole world is observing.
We have 3 minutes left, so let's try to finish within time.
Okay, I'll finish it for sure. It is increasing, right? Sea level is increasing because of climate change. And there is an international policy in the Arctic Ocean, in the Antarctic Ocean, and navigation ways are trying to find it out in order to make the navigation more clear. The countries in the global north, they're trying to do it. At the same time, there is a huge impact because of this policy. The countries in the global south, they are experiencing. This is a huge problem. Many questions they were asked. 10 minutes isn't enough to talk about. This is an in-depth research, which is why I would say that instead of 10 minutes, I'll be trying to write it down more clearly, and which will be published in the not too distant future. These are questions. Sorry. Okay. We used EndNote, and at the same time, whenever I will analyze, and analyze has been done by using SPSS software, and NVivo for qualitative, and it's a part. And for referencing, I used EndNote and Jotero. So this is our basic and core findings of my research. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Finishing ahead of time, saving 1 minute for your question answer. I think we can open the floor for question and answer. Okay. Starting from here. Focus on the question, please. Okay.
Due to climate change, সেটি হচ্ছে যে ইন্টারনাল ডিসপ্লেসমেন্টের ঘটনা ঘটছে এক। দ্বিতীয়ত হচ্ছে সংবাদপত্রের ভাষ্য অনুযায়ী কিশোরদের একটি অংশ অপরাধে যুক্ত হচ্ছে। তো এর যে সোশিও ইকোনমিক যে প্রভাব সম্পর্কে যদি একটু ব্যাখ্যা করেন। থ্যাংক ইউ।
Okay. You mentioned the word newspaper. Newspaper itself is a problem here in Bangladesh. There is a problem, there is water pollution, but they cover less. They hardly talk about our pressing issues, for example, air quality index, water pollution associated with our environmental pollution, which means, as I said during my presentation, strategically we are being killed. Instead of using bullet, we are being killed strategically. So we need some in-depth and advanced policies so that we can save the generation of 21st century or the generations to come. Thank you.
আমার প্রশ্নটা ছিল যে ইন্টারনাল ডিসপ্লেসমেন্ট রোধকল্পে আপনার কোনো সাজেশনস আছে কিনা?
Okay. In terms of find an avenue to protect internal displacement. Whenever you will experience a disaster associated with climate change, of course, you must have to move from there. This is called push and pull theory. So whenever there is a theory, I mean push or pull, of course you have, this is a push theory. So you are obliged to move from that particular place. It's a global incident in our human history that due to climate change or other problems, wars, many other problems, people in the history they try to evolve or change their placement. So in terms of solution, I think we need to work in tandem. It's not my only work. We can coordinate, we can cooperate in terms of experts from different fields. Then we'd be able to find an exact avenue. There are many scientists around the world. They have tried to find.
We can go for the next,
question, please.
Please.
Thank you, respected Chair. Thank you for your smart presentation. Quick suggestions.
All right.
Number one is you have selected Satkira Asashoni in qualitative study when you select specific place, what we call settings. You should have a justification. I will ask you to keep in the paper. And number two is you have used some words which are very strong. In our academic life, we should use the soft words like the most vulnerable. Instead of most vulnerable, you can say significantly vulnerable. So this kind of strong adjective we should be avoided. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your verbose presentation. And now I would like to question that the study represents only one region which may not fully represent the diverse climate impact across the Bangladesh. And also the time frame of data collection is not clarified one year study, which is very important for policy making. Thanks. For
All right. I could have presented all the data. I could have explained it, but unfortunately, due to time constraint, it is impossible to talk about all the information associated with the research. So I'll be able to explain it, and whenever it will be published, and you will get all the answers you are talking about. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for. Okay, thank you for your nice presentation. Just for my understanding, I didn't get what is the research hypothesis and how it was justified in your presentation.
Okay. In terms of hypothesis, we'll talk about null hypothesis, or whenever we will analyze in SPSS or in vivo. Okay, I said cross-sectional method. I mean, whatever we see, we just collect data. This is called cross-sectional method. Thank you.
আসসালামু আলাইকুম
হ্যালো
আপনার টাইটেলে ছিল অ্যাসেসিং দ্য সোশ্যাল ইকোনমিক ইম্প্যাক্ট তো আপনি যে ভেরিয়েবলগুলো কনসিডার করছেন সেগুলোর যদিও মাঝে স্লাইডের একটু সমস্যা ছিল কিছু স্লাইড আমরা দেখতে পারি নাই তো আমার কোশ্চেনটা হচ্ছে যে আপনি যে ভেরিয়েবলগুলো কনসিডার করছেন সেগুলোর কোনটার কতটুকু ইফেক্ট ছিল বা কোনটার কতটুকু ইম্প্যাক্ট ছিল এই বিষয়টা যদি একটু ক্লিয়ার করেন থ্যাংক ইউ
In terms of impact, as I said, once and again, I'm using the word, it was cross-sectional study, which means I'm seeing, I'm observing, I'm taking data. That's it. And in terms of justification, or in terms of, as you said, what's the relation, or does it make sense for other parts of the country? Whenever we study for a particular reason, of course, there is a gap. And another researcher, they will find some more gaps in our research, and he will conduct more in-depth research covering more areas.
Thank you. This is a big question. We can discuss hours about that particular research. Now I'd like to go for the last presentation by thanking the presenter here.
So 2 minutes I will take. Sir, 2 minutes. Only 2 minutes extra.
Okay.
স্যার একটা প্রশ্ন খালি লাস্টে আমি করতে চাচ্ছিলাম এটা হচ্ছে এটা অনেকেই কথা বলেছে কিন্তু আসলে মেইন পয়েন্টে কেউ হাইলাইট করেন সেটা হচ্ছে আপনি আপনার যে টাইটেল আপনি বলছেন কেস স্টাডি বাট আপনি ইউজ করছেন মিক্সড মেথড স্টাডি সো আপনাকে এই ব্যাপারে একটু কেয়ারফুল হতে হবে অ্যাজ এ রিসার্চার আমরা এটা বলতে পারি কারণ আপনি যখন কেস স্টাডি বলছেন এটা পিওরলি কোয়ালিটেটিভ বাট ইউ আর ইউজিং মিক্সড মেথড
ব্যাখ্যার দরকার নাই সাজেশনটা নিলাম
Okay, thank you.
ঠিক আছে ফিউচারের জন্য নিলাম আমরা জি
future. This is our research gap.
আপনি কিছু দেখাবেন
Sir,
না তো মানে আমাদের পরের প্রেজেন্টেশনটা শুরু করতে চাই
Sir, 2 minutes নিব. We have 2 more. Our co-authors, they presented. In some cases, they couldn't clarify. That's why I want to clarify.
আমার মনে হয় না দরকার
Okay,
আছে
okay, sir, thank
দরকার আছে কারণ আমরা উই আর রানিং শর্ট অফ টাইম আমাদের আরেকটা
all right, thank you very much.
প্রেজেন্টেশন তো আছে মানে আমরা তো কারো কি মনে হয়েছে যে উনি আরো দুইটা প্রেজেন্টেশন রেখে বলছেন আমার মনে হয় নাই এনিওয়ে আমার এখন কি আমরা সময় দিতে পারবো আমাদের সময় নাই আমরা অলরেডি টাইম ওভাররান হয়েছে আমরা নেক্সট প্রেজেন্টেশন দ্য লাস্ট ওয়ান determinants of sustainable urban living in Bangladesh, the moderating role of government policy on factors affecting sustainable urban living. SM Wahidul Alam.
Greetings, respected scholars, guests, and peers. I am SM Wahidul Alam, and today I am delighted to present our research paper on determinants of sustainable urban living, the moderating role of government policy.
So you have 10 minutes to finish the presentation, okay?
Yes, sir. Sustainable urban living is a matter of great concern. It is a factor that is being discussed worldwide. In Bangladesh, sustainable urban living, what are the determinants? There are several research on these factors, but there is a crucial aspect that is being neglected for most of the time. What are the social and behavioral aspects of sustainable urban living? If we consider prior literatures, global literatures, we can find literatures on sustainable urban living that shows the importance of infrastructure quality. But there are also other aspects to the sustainable urban living that is also crucial to Today we will look into those. Our research questions try to fill this gap. The first one is how do social influence, environmental awareness, and infrastructural quality affect sustainable urban living? And the second one is the government policy. What role the government policy can play in this situation? And the most important of them all, the policy interventions, what the policymakers should do. If we consider prior literatures, just like I said, there are several literatures on sustainable urban living, awareness, social influence, but only few of them consider government policy in the mix. And if we consider Bangladesh, there is an evident lack of literature in this context. We have provided extensive literature about these factors, but I will mainly focus on the discussion part. That is the theoretical implication, practical implication, and the findings. So this is our hypothetical framework. We can see that the direct relationship of the determinants and the government policies playing a moderating role. These are the hypotheses. I will go through them fast. Okay, the methodology. We used quantitative survey method and we used cross-sectional method. So we collected data at a specific point of time. And the measurement of the variables were taken from previous literatures. We used Google Scholars and Science Direct to collect variables, and we collected the questionnaires and created the questionnaire for our own. Okay, the reliability analysis shows that we have an Cronbach alpha of 0.859. That shows that the data is reliable. So these are the results. It shows the p-values, t-values. We can see that the hypothesis 1 and 2 is supported, but 3 and 4 is not. Then we have the moderation results. Government policy plays a significant role here. This is where it gets interesting. When we interplay government policy into the mix, we see that it is increasing the total beta point, means the total overall effect. The points which were below 50 are now getting higher when we integrate government policy into the mix. But one important aspect here is that infrastructure quality. Infrastructure quality is not significant here. Usually, we always, when we think about sustainability, we think about infrastructure. But in this context, we can see that social factors, behavioral factors are also playing an important role. So this creates the question that is infrastructure alone enough? Let's say that we create many green buildings, but the people who are there, they don't know how to live sustainably, how to use them. So will they be able to live sustainably? That is a question that needs to be discussed. Okay, now the main part, the discussion of the findings. The first one, we see that social influence has a significant impact on sustainable urban living. In Bangladesh, where people are highly influenced by other people, let's say Facebook, if a person or a people is talking about something that is trending, everyone is aware of that and everyone is talking about it. So social influence is significant in Bangladesh. If our parents, our members, friends, they behave sustainably, they say that you should do the same, there are high chances that we are going to also behave similarly. Environmental awareness, people who are aware of the environment, who care about themselves, the future, their children, they are likely to behave sustainably. But we collected data from Dhaka, Rajshahi, Chuadanga. We see that the infrastructure quality is not significant. It can come for several reasons, but it shows that infrastructure alone is not sufficient to ensure sustainable living. Perceived benefit is also not sustainable. So if we say to people that if you behave sustainably, you are going to have a great life, it is unlikely to make them change. But when we add government policy into the mix, when the government is forcing these things, when the government is saying that you should behave sustainably, you are going to get these benefits. Let's say we give cards to those people who behave sustainably for 1 year in business or in other sectors, then they are likely to behave sustainably. And it shows that the hypothesis here is supported when we add the moderating role of government policy. Okay, now the theoretical implication. Just like I said, in global research, we can find several research about sustainable urban living, but research about sustainable urban living in Bangladesh is quite limited, and let alone research that integrates government policy and cultural and social factors is also limited. But our research integrates the cultural and social factors and considers all this in the mix while integrating the government policy. And also another important factor is that infrastructure quality is not given significance here. It shows that social factors and cultural factors can also play an important role. It doesn't underscore the importance of infrastructure quality, but it shows that there are need for further research regarding the social and cultural factors, that is environmental awareness, perceived benefits, and others. Then the main one, the practical implications. So what should the policymakers do? First of all, they need to understand what are the main factors that is driving the people in Bangladesh. As we know that humans are a diverse being. Not all the area, not all the citizens are going to be the same. In Bangladesh, if we consider Dhaka, Rajshahi, Chuadanga, we see that people are more concerned about what their peers, their friends, their families do, what environment is getting affected or not. These things are more important to them. So they consider these things. So the policymakers should try to do things that's going to make sure that people are being influenced in those sectors. For example, if we create green community leaders, as we all know that Facebook or other platforms, Bangladesh are really active in those sites. Let's say that people who are highly popular, they show sustainable practices, they are doing those things, or people who are working in these sectors, they are being recognized as green leaders. It is going to create initiatives, it is going to create aspirations. And also in schools, universities, if we select students and other people as sustainable leaders, it is going to influence them. And another thing that the policymakers can do, they can ensure that the importance of sustainable living, all these factors are being taught since school, in university, and it is being highly focused on. How many minutes do I have?
3 minutes.
3 minutes. Okay. So these factors need to be focused. If the government gives focus on this, if the parents give focus on this, there are chances that people are going to be really important and cautious about this. They are going to understand the importance. Of course, then there are the practical implications. There are other things that the government can do, but it is a matter of concern that they need to think in the long run. There are several other practical implications that we can consider, but I will continue. Future research directions and limitations. First of all, just like I said, the infrastructure quality is a factor that comes into mind when we talk about sustainable urban living. But it shows that there are also other variables such as environmental awareness, perceived benefits that are also important. So for future researchers, there are chances that they should go into these factors. And also in our research, we used quantitative survey method and we used cross-sectional method. That means we only focused on the quantitative part and we collected data at a specific point in time. But future researchers can use mixed method and they can use the longitudinal survey method to make sure the data are more reliable, and they can also consider other cities as well. So in conclusion, I would like to say that in Bangladesh, only creating green buildings and infrastructure is not going to be enough. People need to understand what they need to do. For example, when we grew up, we learned about tree plantation and other things, and that tree is important. Now, as we grow older, we have those things in our mind. We think that yes, trees are important. But in previous generation, these are not the case. If we always talk about sustainable urban living and all these sectors in books, if the government talks about it, if we can see different seminars about these factors, there are chances that the kids will learn about this, and in the future, this will be in their mind. Whether it's right or not, that's not the fact. But they are going to believe it. So this is an important factor. So these are the references that I used. The factors, all these things that I talked about, they are collected from here. And to get further details, you can read the paper. These were taken from Google Scholar, Science Direct, and Willy. Okay, so let us work together to create a better and sustainable future for us and for those yet to come, because this is our world and we need to save it. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. I think we have come to the end of the presentations. And now we like to specifically on this current presentation, if you have got anything from the audience, please raise your hand, because I'll go back to the panel, our panelists, so that we can get their views as well, because we didn't ask them to give their opinion. So if they have something, we can go to them. So now over to any question for the last presentation.
Assalamu alaikum. আমি এহসান আহমেদ। আপনার স্যাম্পল সাইজ কত ছিল এটা আপনি মেনশন করেন নাই। আরেকটা বিষয় হচ্ছে আপনি কেন রাজশাহী এবং ঢাকা নিলেন sample select করার ক্ষেত্রে?
Question পরিষ্কার, okay.
Actually, I collected data from Dhaka, Rajshahi, Chuadanga, and Jashore. As I studied in Rajshahi University, it was easier for me to collect data from Rajshahi. Also, I came to Dhaka to collect data. As mentioned in my research paper, it is said that I have used convenience sampling method. In this method, the researcher collects data from the easiest source.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Straight to the question.
Assalamu alaikum. According to your paper, your research method was not clear for me. Please specify the individual you have considered in your study. Thank you.
Okay, so I used quantitative survey method. I collected data from Dhaka, Rajshahi, Khulna, just like I said, sorry, not Khulna, Dhaka, Rajshahi, Chowdhury, and Joshore. I collected a total of 320 samples, out of which 70 samples were cancelled due to several reasons, incompleteness and others. And after that, I used cross-sectional method, so I collected data at a specific point in time. And after that, I used reliability analysis. There are some constructs that were a bit problematic. I deleted those. Then I ensured the reliability using the Cronbach alpha. And after that, I used reliability analysis. And after that, I used path modeling analysis. I used SPSS and AMOS for the data analysis.
Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Allow me, Chair. Okay, thank you for your presentation. From your abstract, and the moderating role of the government policy, but what is in your presentation, I did not find any link between the role of government policy that affecting the sustainable urban living.
Actually, it is
correlate both.
As I have said previously, that literature in this sector is quite limited. So I'm building a foundational base here. The main determinants of sustainable urban living is being considered as the direct variables or independent variables that is affecting the sustainable urban living. And I have integrated government policy in the mix to see whether these determinants are being affected by government policy. And if it's being affected, then to what extent? From that, we have seen that if we integrate government policy in the mix, it is affecting the determinants. It is increasing the determinants in some cases, for example, in perceived benefits. First of all, it was not significant. But when we added the moderating role of government policy, it became significant. So I am showing the theoretical and foundational base that if we consider government policy in sustainable urban living, we can change these variables. And also, it is not mainly focused on government policy. I am also showing that behavioral and social factors are also playing a crucial role. So it is creating opportunities for future researchers to further look into this research to answer those questions that are arising in our minds.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we are going back to our panelists. If you have got anything to say, it's okay. Any question for this one or the previous ones? You can do that. Overall, yes. Just if you have, if you feel like, just make it very short so that because we are running a little bit late in terms of the time that we are supposed to.
Thank you for all the 6 nice presentation. I have learned a lot from and thank you, Dr. Sultan sir, for giving me the opportunity to participate in this program. And last one, because of the time limitation is there, so the first presentation is like that they have identified the gender gap dimension is 3 aspects: economic and education and women, boys and agency. For the climate vulnerability, I have my request is like that, why we are not focusing on the adoption and enhancing the capability to cope with the disaster? Because any kind of disaster, people is moving from one place to another place. This is not the solution. How to cope with the disaster within their environment, it may be the better solution. And we have to focus on this issue, and we have to discuss with the maybe the climate affected the people and also the academicians or the other policymakers. Then we can find a solution how to settle them within their environment. This may be this issue has to be focused on because the prevention is better than cure. So another one is the biometric carbon footprint solution, the NIDO NDIR framework, the sensor. This maybe this sensor system maybe we can use it, but we cannot know the suitability of this sensor, how we can incorporate in our country, or what are the other alternative options like that. Because the DOE, Department of Environment and Dhaka North City Corporation has installed many locations for the air quality monitoring system. The system we have found through the mobile apps, but the NDIR sensor system, how it can work? Because this maybe they give the precision level data, but what are the data after getting the data? What are the solution? What we can maybe the policymakers or the decision makers, how we can utilize this data, and what will be the best option to mitigate this environmental vulnerability, air quality things. This issue has to be addressed, maybe on this issue. And another one is the ETP, the textile industry system like is the wood. One of my questions is curiosity is like that. The most of the industries when submitted their plan to Raju or maybe the Department of Environment, they had submitted their plan like is that they will be installed the ETP. They have shown in their plan. But when it goes to during the construction period or after the construction period, then the most of the ETP is not operated. Why this is not the operated? Is it not the cost effective one or it is too costly? Some of the industries is like that they are operating. Maybe there have to be some compliance issue and government has to be strong monitoring system to introduce to how we can operate. If this is not the cost effective, why we should not install the cluster based industry like as if we have to go through the 4, 5 or 6 industry in it together, maybe they have installed one cluster ETP, then it can make the cost effective way. So this can be, we can maybe one of the solution and another one is the renewable energy system should be definitely it can be the uses for how we can reduce our energy consumption on our national grid system. This may be the one of the solution for and another one is the building construction and they have already covered all the things, but I think that the most of the carbon emission, 38% global carbon emission contribute to the building construction materials. So how we can reduce this carbon emission, this issue has to be addressed on this paper because during the design system and the carbon emission system, we can use the localized materials and other things. And we have more than 5 lakh two-story building, 2 or more story building in the rooftop. If you utilize the rooftop, our solar panel system, we can generate maybe the 2,000 megawatt within the Dhaka metropolitan region. That contributes to the half of the consumption pattern within the Dhaka metropolitan region. So this can be another alternative. We can explore this item. And next item is the Satkira, the salinity and adoption. They have already cross-boundary system. They have adopted the system. And next one is the final presentation is he has covered all the things, but one of the sustainable urban living, why it is missing the housing, because the housing is one of the major challenge for the sustainable urban, because in Dhaka or other area, most of the people do not have their own housing. In Dhaka, 64% people living in the rented housing, and some of the people, more than 40% living in the slum areas. So this can be one of the housing issues should be addressed within the sustainable. Without properly maintaining or giving the affordable housing to the general people, we cannot ensure the sustainable urban living. This can be addressed in near future. Thank you for giving me the.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to you for the next round of discussion.
Yeah, brief. The first paper, the title was How Much Income Gap Persists Across Gender Dimensions Due to Climate Change, New Evidence from Bangladesh. I think the abstract was too long and it is very difficult to get exactly what has been done in this work from the abstract. The abstract should be within 250 words or 300 words. It should precisely say what has been done in this work, what has been achieved. So I tried to read again and again. I mean, it was very difficult for me to get there are so many terms used. I'm sure that the author has done a lot of work, but this is not being reflected, I mean, in this presentation. So for making it publishable or more attractive, I think the author should do some more work on this thing, because it says climate migration, gaps of women empowerment, and lots of other terms. Too many terms are there. So climate affected migrated households in the coastal belt. So several vectors are there. So I think, in my opinion, this should be more, precise. And it says the gender income gap across gender dimensions due to climate change. What kind of climate change you are considering? This is not given in this paper. I mean, definitely it contains lots of work, lots of data, but I think the write-up should be more concise, more precise, and more to the point. The second one is a bibliometric study of carbon footprint solutions and a novel ultrasonic NDIR framework. The thinking in this paper is very good and it definitely is useful, but the point is, where would you place these sensors, these NDIR sensors? Because to get the measurement of the air pollution, I mean, you are talking about NDIR sensors, GHG monitoring, and then ultrasonic NDIR framework. Lots of things are mentioned, but the technicality is not, has not come out in the presentation. So I would like to request the author or the authors to be more precise and to mention what this model contains. I mean, we're talking about sensors. Yes, of course, you can measure the sensors to measure use the sensors to measure the air pollution. But where would you place those sensors? How would you measure across the whole city or the country? How many sensors are needed? So these things should come out. The next paper is From Pollution to Solution, evaluating ETP effectiveness and future sustainability in the textile industry. Here, the author has mentioned about treating the water which is coming out of the industry, especially the dyeing industry. Again, the suggestions which has been made here, or which have been made here, I mean, it contains some chemicals, ultraviolet rays, and the practicality has not been considered. So the author should think, I mean, how this can be implemented. Definitely, this is a serious problem. This is really a serious problem, the discharge that has been going to the rivers from the industries, especially the dyeing and some other industries as well. So here only dyeing is considered, but there are other industries which are causing severe damages. Now, how do you purify these waters? You know, how the technicality should be spelled out in the write-up and also when this is considered for presenting for publication. The next one is energy conservation for buildings in Dhaka. This is a very important paper and the author is definitely involved in buildings industry. And he has mentioned lots of things and I think I mentioned some points also during his, after his presentation. In this case, he mentioned about the old buildings. I think he should consider that the Dhaka has undergone through severe changes during the past 2 decades. And what about he considered the use of natural lights also. So conservation of energy is very important in buildings. But are we doing that? Because we are using so much of glasses. So if you are using glasses, then more heat gain is you'll observe inside the buildings. So if you have got more heat gains, you need more air conditioning, more currents, more power consumption. So if this goes on, there is no way that you can conserve the energy in buildings. So I think the author should think in this direction that the reduction of glasses in the buildings should be done. I mean, for beautification, the glasses may add values, but for utility, definitely this doesn't add. So these things should be considered. And also, efficient utilization of, lamps, lights, and all these things should be included. Assessing the socio-economic impacts of climate change in Bangladesh, a case study on Asasoni Upojela in Satkhira district. While reading this abstract, I was trying to understand the place is Asasoni Upojela of Satkhira district, and the paper does not really reflect what are the problems in Asasoni, why particularly Asasoni Upojela was picked, and what are the climate changes, effects which are being considered for writing this paper. I mean, this should come out in the paper because what kind of climate change is causing problem especially in Asasoni. The last paper is Determinants of Sustainable Urban Living in Bangladesh, the moderating role of government policy on factors affecting sustainable urban living. he was talking about sustainable urban living, but I think the paper needs lacks clarity in several directions. I think the questions also came out, and especially sustainable urban living, um, the term they used, but again, then the work needs to be done more, in-depth works need to be done, and the paper's presentation should be, done in a better way. I think, have I done this, all these papers? Okay, I think I've done things. Let me apologize because, I didn't want to put the authors down, so a criticism to help you, to help our presentation better. That was the target. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. I am not a designated panelist, but thank you for the time. Session 4, Energy, Climate Change and Urban Planning. 6 papers, the highest number of papers presented in this session. I congratulate all of the presenters for their very scientific findings and research work on these issues. You see, what energy, climate, and urban planning is intertwined, that 38% of electricity used in the country is used in households, the residential buildings. And we have the capacity to produce electricity around 30 gigawatt, 30,000 megawatt, and only 1 gigawatt recently we achieved, that is 1,000 megawatt from renewable energy. So the electricity is mostly produced by fossil fuel. So you see the climate and also the energy nexus is so intertwined. So urban planning demands such kind of planning that is less carbon footprint is used. So I congratulate again all the presenters for. So I will take very short time. For the first presentation by Dr. Azreen Karim, very interesting one, but I would like to say that there is Amphan cyclone. Before Amphan cyclone, there are many cyclones, and there are migrations because of those cyclones. So you have taken data after Amphan cyclone. So I would say that there is income or some disparity between male and female, gender female. But when there is a disaster, a total family move, and then there is some problem with the new places. So my suggestion would be, what is the before Amphan or before some migration, what is the baseline? And then due to these driving forces, the climate change, because of migration, how it has happened. How the gap increase, more gap or less gap, then you can justify the gaps in carbon footprint solutions and a novel ultrasonic NDIR framework. I think this is a very good work, real-time industrial emission monitoring system you are trying to put, a framework kind of thing. Not only this footprint solution only for the commercial and other building, every individual can have his own carbon footprint measurement, and he can be aware about his carbon use, and he can or she can reduce. So I think this is a good work, and you can put it in. But here you also use the okay. So I wish this will come in a commercial mode, then people will be able to use this. The third one is evaluating ETP. Someone from the audience also asked how many industries you have their ETP unused. Up to 2018 May, I have the data that around 2020, large industries have got their ETP in place. That is not a question. The question is whether they operate it or not. That is a serious question. They bypass. They do not operate it. When the inspector from Department of Environment goes there at the end of a month or somewhere, then they start operating. And then we suggested that the electricity should pass through the ETP. If ETP is not operating, then the whole industry will be shut. But you see, this is a very hypothetical one. People will not agree. So ETP, most of the time it will. But the researcher very correctly mentioned that the small and medium, small industries and medium industries, there is a problem. They do not have any ETPs. They directly, dying in the Keraniganj and other areas, there are clusters. They do it in big ponds and then they release it in the open environment. There is a problem. But we are, from Department of Environment and with also the private sector, we are trying to online ETP monitoring system, sensor-based, so that the owner of the industry can also see whether his ETP or her ETP is in operation. Because people, the staff of the industry company, they operate the ETP, they take money from the owner, but they do not operate, they do not do the chemical dosing and other thing and electricity. So there is some problem. So online ETP monitoring we have suggested, and I think effectiveness of this ETP evaluation, you put it there, but you add some renewable energy for ETP operation. I think for the paper itself, that is redundant here. Only you can concentrate on the that is the ETP you have evaluated on a company and how to improve it and how it reduce cost and how it can be replicated for other industries. Because if it reduce cost, then people will buy it, use it. And energy conservation, the next one, energy conservation for building in Dhaka. And the Raju Chief Town Planner, Mr. Ashraf already mentioned about that. I think there is a huge scope in our, I would say that this is not only the commercial building, in the public building, the energy consumption directly can be reduced to 50% because the electricity that we use in the public building, government building, well, government is paying. So we are very reluctant to use the electricity in the government building. So if we can have the energy conservation, not only in the commercial, even in the public building and also in the private building, if you can give suggestion, they will, everybody will accept it. And the fifth one is socioeconomic impact of climate change, a case study in Ashashuni Upazila. I would say that Ashashuni is, you mentioned this is not one of this is the most vulnerable climate heat countries of the world, and Ashashuni is in the coastal area, and coastal zone is the most impacted zone of Bangladesh, and Ashashuni has been rightly put there in the, and you have identified the challenges for Ashashuni, and I would say that for the climate adaptation, government, because it is a climate heat country, that's why government and the community has got so many climate adaptation infrastructure intervention on the ground. So the community, how much they're using these infrastructure put by the government or the community, whether they're reluctant to use that could be an investigation there, and then try to see they can whether they can reduce their vulnerability by using those infrastructure. And for this kind of thing, at least 1 year data capture is necessary to see the reality. And the last one is the determinate sustainable urban living moderating role of government policy. I think the question was very clearly asked and the hypothesis was very clearly put in the, But who are the respondent? These are the rich people or middle income people or poor people. Based on their income and based on their ability, they will choose. So that could be clearly mentioned in that one. So I end here. Thank you so much, Chair, for giving me some time to comment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. You covered a lot of issues that I thought of talking, but that will help me to focus on other issues. I think after this summary, I'd like to wrap up what we got after this discussion. Actually, the title was Bridging Policy and Interdisciplinary Research Towards a Sustainable Future. That's the National Conference title. So it was, there were 6 presentations and all had different dimensions. And starting from gender and climate, which is very important in terms of the population and also that disproportionately it affects the women and children, and that also brought important issues into the table. We talked about the second presentation. We were talking about a framework, NDIR framework, which is also an input for the take it further. Third one was ETP effectiveness in textile industry. I was at the Environment Ministry, and we were at that time we were thinking of putting a video camera to the ETP machine so that we can see that is anything happening, because there is a lot of speculation about the ETP effectiveness and other things. So I'm sure I see somebody from Ministry of Environment. I'm sure that they are taking care of that. Energy conservation and building, that is a fascinating one. I think we can think about scaling that up, because that calculations helps us individually, because if I do that kind of design, and then that helps me right away. So that we have different authorities like Rajuk and others who are approving these plans and other things, so they can take note of that and scale it up for making it effective. And then socioeconomic impacts of climate change in Bangladesh, that was also a very important issue, because our life is no longer without climate change. Climate change is not any input, it is a status. Climate change is a status that says that we are on the verge of a catastrophe, because we have a mostly Indo-Gangetic Delta area, and it is full of alluvium. It's a deposition except some part of the north and east. And that reminds us that as we are having the rivers being covered by the silt coming from the north and different parts of the country, at some point there will be no water drainage system. And that will take all the inhabitants living around the rivers. And that, if you look at that rivers that coming from north to south, you will see that the southern part is like this. So the rivers are bifurcating in multiple rivers. That means all are alluvium, and it is taking its own course the way it can. It's very easy to take a different course when there is an obstruction. So from Dhaka and south, rest is like a net. So this is a sign, early sign, but it is, I think it is no longer an early sign. We are in grave danger, because this is making displacement people coming from the south to the north, and how far north they can come up, because we don't have plenty of space, because we have per capita population is very, very dense. Energy conservation and then socioeconomic impact, that was also a fascinating one. There was a case study, and then it was all impacts we see so far, and tangible impacts are all socioeconomic impact. We don't calculate the economic impact, we call it socioeconomic, but basically every day the life and livelihood in that area, in the climate change affected area, is going up because people are spending more money for that because they are that resources they need to buy is no longer at their around them. They need to walk, they need to use transportation for getting to the facilities and many other challenges that are coming. So what is the big solution? Actually, big solution, we have a national adaptation plan. So we have to adapt. First thing is we have to adapt, not mitigate. We cannot mitigate because we are in the downstream of 200 rivers coming down, starting from the Himalaya down to Sundarban. So what we have to do, we have to start how to live with that in terms of not only for the people living in the Sundarbans, but people living in other areas just right from the Dhaka south and onward, because there are different rivers in that area. And vulnerability is very different for each of the areas because the area is different, people's socioeconomic life is very different, and vulnerability type is also very different. Working in the Ministry of Environment, our intervention was also very challenging because you cannot have a one-size-fits-all solution. You have to customize each of the solutions so that that can be useful for the persons and, living in that area. But we have a agreed kind of policy, we call it a National Adaptation Plan. So we are suggesting how to live with that because we cannot change people from one place to another area, 12 crore or 10 crore people. It's impossible because we don't have that space. So what we have to do is we have to live with that, and National Adaptation Plan says that how you should be behaving with the nature during the good time so that your bad time will be much easier than expected. So I think I like to thank BIGM and other organizers for organizing this kind of discussion with very distinct but interrelated issues that relates to the energy, climate change, and urban planning. Urban planning, we got one very specific urban solution that we can take right away. So I like to thank BIGM, particularly Dr. Tarek, who invited me here and who was one of the mentors. I have a few other mentors sitting in front of me. They contributed a very significant part in shaping my life. And I thank them for being here and participating in comments. And all who dedicatedly contributed to the organization of this program itself. Last but not the least, I like to thank the panelists because they are the key persons who are taking the questions and also giving their own opinions. They are the experts and they have got a lot of answers to the questions. And surely we'll have that in the days to come. Thank you very much. So over to the MC and close this session here. And you can go ahead with your program. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. As we have come to the conclusion of session 4, Energy, Climate Change and Urban Planning, I would like to extend my deepest appreciation to all the presenters for their compelling presentation and well-researched insights. Your contributions today have meaningfully advanced our collective understanding of critical intersections between climate, energy, and urban development. I would like to sincerely thank our session chair, Mr. Iqbal Abdullah Harun, for his excellent leadership throughout the session. I am equally grateful to our esteemed panel members, Professor Dr. Saiful Islam, Mr. Muhammad Ashraful Islam, and Dr. Sultan Ahmed for their thoughtful observations and constructive engagement in the discussions. Your guidance and perspective have added immense depth to today's session. We will now proceed with the certificate awarding ceremony to acknowledge our presenters for their valuable participation. Before that, it is my pleasure to welcome Dr. Mohammad Harunur Rashid, former Secretary, Government of Bangladesh, and Honorable Member of Board of Trustees, Bangladesh Institute of Governance and Management for the ceremony. Sir, please come forward to the stage. Let's welcome him with a big round of applause. I will now call upon each presenter by their name, and I kindly request everyone to receive their certificates. First, I would like to call Ms. Azreen Karim, Senior Research Fellow, BIDS, to come on the stage to receive her certificate. Next, Ms. Nuzhat Noumi, student, Islamic University of Technology. Please come forward. Now, I request Mr. Mahbub Sayam, student, Shahid Abdur, Serniabat, Textile Engineering College, to join us on stage.
I now invite Mr. Mohammad Nafiz Mahmood, Executive Engineer, PWD Dhaka, to receive his certificate. Next, I call upon Mr. Muhammad Abdullah Al Mamun, student, Jahangirnagar University. Please proceed. Finally, may I request Mr. S.M. Wahidul Alam, student, University of Rajshahi, to come on stage. Thank you all once again for your outstanding contributions. We now move on to a special moment of appreciation for our panel members and chair, who enriched this session with their expertise and valuable perspectives. To honor their presence, we will present them with mementos as token of our gratitude. I kindly request our session chair, Mr. Iqbal Abdullah Harun, and Dr. Muhammad Harunur Rashid, Honorable Member of the Board of Trustees, BIGM, to kindly present the mementos to our esteemed panelists. First, I would like to invite Professor Dr. Saiful Islam, Vice Chancellor AIUB, to receive his memento in recognition of his distinguished contribution as a panelist. Next, I invite Mr. Muhammad Ashraful Islam, Chief Town Planner, Raju, to come forward and accept our token of appreciation. Now, I would like to request Dr. Sultan Ahmed, Associate Director, BIGM, to receive his memento. Finally, I would like to request our session chair, Mr. Iqbal Abdullah Harun, to receive a memento as a token of our appreciation. Finally, we will conclude with a group photo to commemorate this vibrant and insightful session. I invite all participants to kindly come up on stage for a group photograph. Please proceed. Thank you everyone for such an insightful and thought-provoking session. Before we conclude, I would like to inform everyone that now we'll have a break for lunch and prayer. Prayer arrangements has been done outside the hall and arrangements of lunch has been done in the Hall of Harmony. After the break, the sessions will continue as scheduled. The next session will start at 2:15 p.m. We kindly request everyone to reconvene on time for the next session. Thank you once again for being with us. Have a nice day.